All right, welcome everybody. Welcome to FMA discussion episode 83. And tonight we are featuring Datu Tim Hartman. For those of you watching, please tell us where you're watching from and all that. And please hit the like. If you have not already, please subscribe to YouTube channel FMA discussion. If you have questions, let me know. Hi, sir. How are you? Thank you for coming on.
Thank you. I'm doing good today.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear. So, how things up? What's you guys kind of on lockdown? I mean, you're just a state above me. So what's going on?
So we now have a three-color program. Actually, I guess there's four tiers because there's nothing: yellow, orange, and red. We are currently in the orange, which means gyms, fitness centers, and personal care places. Hey, John. They cannot do business. So that close proximity, and I understand the gyms, they're taking shots at the martial arts schools right now and the dance studios, but we have an ability to control the quantity of people that come in. We can clean equipment where not leaving it up to members to do that. So, I get it. They're just grabbing at straws to get themselves open because we've got no support. We're totally shut down. And then nothing happens, no support. So
it's tough. So you guys
throughout the U.S.,
Yeah. So you guys use a colored method, huh? That's interesting. And here is, I think in Connecticut, we're kind of going like phases,
Well, we were in phases before. So after the shutdown, there was 4 phases. We were able to open up theoretically in the 3rd phase, but we opened up in the 4th phase. And then in the 4th phase, they had multiple parts of the 4th phase where the gyms were the 2nd or 3rd to last things to open up. Gyms. And then, so I opened up in phase 4. A week after that, the malls were able to open up. A month or 2 after that, the gyms, then the bowling centers. And I think that was it. Now they decided to go with color coordination and doing micro clusters. I mean, the word is wrong. But everyone, the reporters are tearing it apart. But it's like, listen, microcluster as in, instead of the entire state, if there's a hot spot somewhere, we'll shut that spot down. But I mean, unfortunately, we're still, if you're told to shut down, there's no financial aid.
Yeah, it's just a tough. I just hope one day coming in the near future, I never have to bring this up to guests. I hope like it'll be like a thing of the past. And
3 vaccines are on the way, so
I hear.
It's going to be another year. I mean, we need to go global. It's not just the U.S. We need to get us under control, and then we need to help out throughout the world because I mean, we don't want to be like a zombie apocalypse where you're in your turf and you can't go anywhere else.
No, we're not built for that. No. At least this guy's not. So, we got some people here. John Vister, hey, Maestro. Hey, Chuan Jack. Oh, thank you. Yeah. I'm trying, Chuan. I'm trying. Hey, Brian. And from Erie, Pennsylvania. And all that. All right. So we're going to get into it. So obviously Modern Arnis goes hand in hand with your name and all that. But what I found interesting was, and I'm not saying others didn't do it, but you trained with both brothers. And I thought what would be neat for the viewers is to kind of get some compare and contrast, among the brothers, like, necessarily their teaching styles, what they try to stress among their students. I mean, I've had previous guests on regarding GM Remy, obviously significantly stick-based, all that. I guess there was some behind the scenes knife work in bolo, what have you, from what I understand. But as far as, Ernesto, GM Ernesto, I guess let's start with, the years you started with them and what's the difference you found among the two?
Okay, well, so my first training was Modern Arnis. I started right in Filipino martial arts.
Wow.
So that was 85. So my physical expression is a lot different than the others. Modern Arnis, as taught by Professor after he left the Philippines, was the art within your art.
Okay, I've heard that. Okay.
That's not what I learned. So when Professor would go on tour, I would help him teach periodically. And what people were struggling with material-wise was my yellow and orange belt material. So I had the benefit when the professor would teach, he would do a piece, and then he would demo all this other stuff. So I would be doing all the other stuff, and he'd say, well, wait a minute, no, I taught this. Show me what you do. And I showed the bass move because I did that day in and day out. So it was like, all right, well, you can keep doing the extra stuff. So there was times when Professor, like when he would come to Buffalo, he'd stay for weeks at a time, and he was a silent partner in the school that I was training in. And I've had a bunch of seminars where we never picked up a stick. I mean, I go by Presas Arnis now because I incorporate the brothers more, but ultimately it's a better way of putting it because Remy had what he taught the masses, and then he had his personal expression, and he taught me more of that. So Modern Arnis was to enhance your bass system without compromising the integrity of that bass system.
Okay.
So Modern Arnis people, this is going to be touchy. Modern Arnis people are not necessarily good representation of Filipino martial arts. It's a Filipino synthesis. So let's go with a mixed drink. Let's take vodka. So there, you could drink vodka straight. You could mix it different, or whatever you do. I'm a jack. So you can go, but you can make so many different drinks with that base solution.
Understood.
But it's not the same. When you mix it with something, it's changed. Yeah. So many people do a FMA fusion expression.
Okay.
So that way, when you have 10 Modern Arnis, when Remy would be in the area and you had 10 schools, obviously inside the school, they should be moving similar. But when you would watch multiple schools next to each other, you would see the bass moves, but with a whole nother emphasis on body mechanics, like a different verbal accent.
I gotcha. Okay.
Because what he did was, and people got misunderstood a lot of stuff, is it was about enhancing people's martial ability using Filipino martial arts to help them get to a higher level. So I've had a bunch of people say, well, Modern Arnis people aren't good they say, well, they don't look that good. I go, okay, know what you're looking at. And the reason why, because what Ernesto's a little different. So that's why I want to set this up. Most Modern Arnis people don't do Filipino martial arts. They do a cross-training program. So you're always going to have your primary DNA.
When you say the primary DNA, are you meaning like the system that they previously had, like whether it be Kempo?
Well, let's say you're a karate school owner,
okay,
and you had me in to teach you Filipino martial arts.
Right.
Are you going to shut your karate school down and do Filipino martial arts, or are you going to add it on top of what you're already going to do?
No, it's going to be an addition, of course.
And that's why Professor was ingenious with his approach.
Okay.
There are a lot of systems tried to win you over from the ground up. As opposed to, hey, listen, let me show you some stick. Let me show you some locks and controls. Let me show you some blade defense. So, and a few of us, a small percentile of us, actually learned it as a standalone program. So I'd like to consider, I'm one of the, as I coin the phrase, the Modern Arnis 1%ers.
Okay.
But then again, let's put this in perspective. How many Filipino martial arts schools do you know about there? And before you answer, I'm talking a school. I'm not talking.
No. I know exactly what you're talking about. And if I had the top of my head, if I had to, I think I know of two. Like off the top of my head, you know what I mean? Obviously, Guru Dan, but he's JKD.
He's not Filipino. Okay, so.
That's true because he's JKD and everything else. Yeah, true. Gotcha. Yeah, then
that would be Rich Parsons there, Jack. He asked about who are the other 1%ers. There's a few people here and there. So I listen, Guru Dan is a whole nother category. First of all, more martial arts than any one person.
Yeah.
But he teaches Jeet Kune Do.
Correct.
And Modern Arnis is one of the many different blending elements to have his martial synthesis, which is not to take away from anything he's done or his ability.
Okay, no, understood.
But he's not an FMA specialist.
No, yeah.
Although he's better than most.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I gotcha.
So, what Filipino martial arts schools do you know of? Oh, and by the way, you're talking to a school owner.
Well, obviously you, and outside of that,
prior to COVID,
a guy in Texas. I think he's under my old group. They're the Atienzas, Bayani or something like that. Don't quote me on that though.
No, he teaches. Okay, so now school. I'm a jerk. I'm a real snob about this, but no. But here's the thing: I came up in Buffalo, and first thing I say is, "Oh, I have a school," and the person would say, "Where do you teach out of?" Well, out of this gym. Well, that's not a school. I taught out of my church. That's still not a school. Then I started renting space and office square footage. Okay, but you're not full time. Okay, and then you sit there. Now I have a brick and mortar place that teaches Filipino martial arts. Everything we do here is based on FMA.
Yeah.
It pays my rent. It pays my utilities. It pays my vehicle loans, my credit card bills. I'm talking a school, not a club.
No, I got you. No, you're not subletting. You actually have. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, not teaching out of your backyard.
Right.
And that's the problem with a lot of, unfortunately, especially now, we are so dependent on other schools to keep this going because we, as an industry, we have to piggyback on gyms and karate schools and taekwondo schools.
Yeah. I'd be bankrupt if I was relying on this for money.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So that being said, getting back to the point, Modern Arnis, or Filipino martial arts as a whole, isn't being taught as a standalone program for the most part. I mean, a school emphasis. So Remy, his thing was the art within your art. Okay. So he made a lot of people better. And a lot of times people look at us, my brothers and sisters, and go, wow, but they're looking at them with the wrong eyes. You know, what they should do is they look at them as a martial artist as a whole.
I got you. I can appreciate that. Okay. Yeah.
So now Grandmaster Ernesto, he pretty much stuck to doing it standalone.
Yeah. I don't want to miss. I'm sorry. I just don't want to miss Jack. Tuan Jack's got a question.
Okay.
And it's before the one. Who are the other 1%? Do you see it there?
Yeah, I saw that was Rich Parsons.
No, there's a question above that one. Though.
So is that the main reason why various Modern Arnis tributaries? Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. I just didn't want, because as the comments scroll down, I kind of lose where that question is. So go ahead. Apologies.
Now Grandmaster Ernesto, he studied it, taught it more as a standalone program. He didn't. I mean, a lot of his people came from other systems as well. And he's more in Europe. He wasn't really here in the States. If he had more schools in the States, he has several people here. But if he had more schools, they would probably doing the same thing, the art within your art, because what do people do? They've been doing martial arts for a couple decades. They're not going to turn their back on what they've been doing and what works.
No, creatures of habit. No.
Well, if it works, why would you turn your back on it?
Yeah, right. If it's paying your bills, you're not going to cut that out. I guarantee you.
There is no such. I don't think there's ever a thing such as a bad martial system. There are bad people doing martial arts. Whether it be they're uneducated. Listen. Everyone busts Taekwondo's chops. I have all respect for Taekwondo, but since it's the biggest, it's the most taught martial art. With those numbers, you're going to have quality control, and any system you put in that place is going to have the same problem. Kempo had the same problem for a long time because Kempo became huge out here on the East Coast. Obviously, it was out on the West Coast, and when you had those kind of numbers, it would be harder to do quality control.
Agreed. So then I guess, again, for the viewers, who are watching, and I'm curious as well, I know Ernesto kind of kept it as a separate. He wasn't, really looking to migrate, for instance, in the U.S., what GM Remy did. But
Oh
far
no,
as,
he would.
but yeah, but far as what they taught, like, I mean, whereas again over here,
So
I know the stick was stressed, but
okay,
what
so
about
Remy taught his two younger brothers.
Okay.
Remy learned, and it was funny. I don't know if it was you or someone else. So I've been listening to your videos.
Well, thank you.
Which I think if you could do them as podcasts as well, which I don't think would be hard to convert. I'd love to listen to more while I'm driving around because a lot of times I'm
Yeah, I know. I gotta. Yeah, there's something I'm kind of looking into. Yeah.
We'll talk to Doug. There you go. There's your contact.
Yeah, exactly.
So someone had mentioned this, and it's true. Actually, no. It usually Filipino martial arts seems to. I'm just skip a generation. Now, Remy saw his father teaching the guerrillas during World War II, which tells you the family system was taught to defend the country of the Philippines against their enemies. So, I mean, our base core family art is a fighting bladed system. Now, while Remy watched them train, he practiced on the side, showed up for graduation. His father was like, "What are you doing?" And he said, "Well, I'm here to graduate." And he performed, and his grandfather was there as well and watched and was so impressed. He took him in as a student.
Okay.
And if you look at it with Remy's kids, it kind of skipped a generation because it went to his martial children, not to his martial children, because they haven't trained as much. And they trained, but not a lot of hands-on as you would think they would have, being the Remy left as a political refugee of the Philippines in 74. So he had a phone call saying, "You're going to die," and he hopped on a plane and went.
Yeah, I think I recall hearing that. Okay.
So Ernesto wanted to come here. So, okay, let me put something in perspective. Remy and Ernesto were not getting along. We're not going to get into that.
Yeah, unfortunately, I heard that. Yeah.
I got a phone call from one of my guys to say, "Hey, listen, Ernesto's sick in the hospital. He might die." And I'm like, "Why are you telling me this?" Because Ernesto's guys think if we tell you, you'll do something about it. And they were right. I got a hold of Remy. He was in the Philippines. He and I had a long conversation, and he reached out to his brother. When I met his brother in about 98, 99, and I was introduced to him as, "Hey, this is Tim Hartman," he went nuts. "Hey, oh my God, you're like a brother to me." And I'm like, "Well, you're more like my uncle because Remy's more my adopted father here." And I had a personal relationship with Ernesto. So I got to see some things that a lot of people didn't see. And I'm not an expert. I'm not coming off like an expert, like I know everything that Ernesto did. That's not what I'm saying. I got to see another side because of the family connection.
Gotcha. Okay.
So Ernesto did want to get a green card and move over here. But when it came to his martial expression, Europe was a better fit for him at the time.
Okay, and I'm sorry, Datu, I got another question, and some people saying hello to you. GM to Bobby Tabota. Hey, how are you? I'm well, GM. I hope you're well. Chad. Hey, Chad. Always good to hear from you. John Brister has a question. Okay. And his question is, can you ask the mindset of the training method he does? So maybe we'll go from what they both, because he didn't, John, just Remy or GM Ernesto, or both. Let us know that. But anyway.
Both brothers emphasized the stick, and I think a lot of it is because they didn't want to be lethal.
Okay.
I mean, Remy was a kid during World War II. And he went down the stick fighting route, and so did Ernesto. Are there blade elements, and have I been taught by blade elements from the brothers? Yes, no questions about it. But the stick, there's so many things that could be a stick. It's easy to pick something up.
Yeah.
And once again, the non-lethal aspect of things.
Yeah. No. I mean, and let me just see here. I believe it was not a question. I'm just making sure I'm not missing any questions. That's all. Mary was helps right as well. Yeah, absolutely, John Jack. Manny Adams. Panoys weren't allowed swords for over a century before W2. I got Manny. My suggestion is check out episodes with Professor Giacano, Mambaki, and all that. There's some debunking of those myths, but not. But again, not coming from me. I just recommend just check those episodes out. You might get a different feel for that. But anyway, so. Okay, so then when you, I guess, so there was a point in time, it sounds like were you training with both? Is that, okay, so that must have been, so kind of, I mean, after they both knew about it, I mean,
I never hid anything from Remy.
Okay.
Remy and I, we had an interesting relationship. So 1986, I became a direct student of his.
Okay, 86, okay.
Yeah, and there were some problems here in Buffalo that need to be dealt with. And one day I showed up, I go, I have some questions for you. And I need to know an answer. And then finally I go, listen, I don't want you interfering. I'm going to take care of all this myself. I just need to know yes, no, right, wrong. And he wasn't used to that. I mean, so Buffalo, the Metro Buffalo area is about 1 million people. Buffalo proper is like 250, 300. We had 11 Modern Arnis clubs here.
In Buffalo?
In Buffalo. Oh, no. So there's 3 hot spots for Modern Arnis. Remy, as we were talking before, so the first East Coast camp, which was West Virginia, which I didn't think it was, but I had to check my records, which Brian and Chad were talking about.
I recall that.
West Virginia, but it was 83, not 85.
Okay.
And then after that, he moved up to Philly. But what he moved from the West Coast to here, and the 3 hot spots for Modern Arnis, like the highest concentration was from east to west, Philadelphia, where all the camps were happening, and Detroit, Michigan, or the Metro Detroit area.
So those areas, 11 clubs rather, in wow.
Okay, and literally,
you don't need to have like 11 schools, period. But 11. Like,
yeah.
Wow.
So there's a couple roads. So if you go under the city proper, you do a lap around it on the thruway. It would take you 20, 25 minutes. So it's not a huge. I mean, I said. I mean, it's the second largest city in the state. Buffalo's known as the Queen City, and the King was obviously New York. But we had, there are 11 different clubs.
Wow, I would have never guessed that. I wouldn't have guessed more than like 2 or 3. Wow.
I don't know what it was. Hey, listen, I benefited from that. Now I'm the last one.
Okay.
I'm the only one here. There's a couple of people doing Filipino martial arts on the side. I'm the only professional school, and all the Modern Arnis. There's a bunch of karate schools that were kind of with us and just do the stick elements, do a couple Sinawali's, which are still good because it gets exposure, but it's not that representation we want as promoting Filipino martial arts.
Yeah, interesting. Wow, Manny, yeah, no problem. If you want, man, I can even send you the links to those. Just send me a PM, but no problem. So then, okay, so we got the differences. Okay, so.
Well, okay, I want to sort of throw this thing out there. Remember, they couldn't take the bolos away from them.
I'm sorry, what?
Well, he's talking about the sword.
Yeah.
A bolo couldn't be taken away because that was a farming tool.
That's my whole. I didn't want to. That's why I wanted him to check it out. But absolutely, farming tools. Yeah, I mean that whole. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the Filipinos had blades their entire life, and you're never going to take them away.
No.
So, you're not going to have like the nice compilongs, the barong, the karisas, because those were overtly weapons. But a machete.
Yeah, but the agricultural / I know there was a really good not to get off topic here, but a couple episodes regarding some of the myths, and Mambaki really, I thought, did a great job on that, as well as Mong Celestino and
a lot of episodes I got to weed through, so it's going to be a lot of.
Yeah, they were good ones though. I highly recommend them. And Professor Giacano was brilliant. So then, all right. So you're training with both, and then so obviously, again, they seem like they both emphasize, stick is from what you're telling us and all that, and then
Yeah.
kind of behind the scenes,
So
there obviously was some weapon training.
so what
I mean,
happened is 1957, Remy started Modern officially.
Okay.
Ernesto, there's some things where people say, well, he helped form Modern Arnis. I doubt that because
Okay.
Ernesto would have been 12 years old. So,
Yeah.
and when we talk about certain things where some Blitzwalk grandmasters have claimed to be trained with certain people, they would have been 2 years old at that time. So, make sure when you write a bio, you don't put the real dates if that's what you want people to check.
Yeah.
So, but it's not to say that so there's three brothers, Remy, Ernesto, and Roberto. And I still visit with Roberto whenever I get a chance to go over.
Okay, so he's still okay.
I go to the house, I visit the grave, so I'll visit Remy and Ernesto and Teresita, the sister. I mean, and the parents, so Remy created in 57. His two brothers were part of this, and he left in 74. So they definitely contributed, but as one Roger Solar, an acquaintance of mine, was saying, Ernesto was a computer. I'm like, what do you mean? Well, he would remember this stuff. So he was the hard drive, and Remy was the programmer. So, but you know what? Still being there and working with and stuff like that, it's all part of the synthesis. They all help each other, But Remy was the single stick specialist because he had that Blitzwalk background. Ernesto was the double stick specialist, and Roberto was the stick and dagger person.
Oh, okay. That would have been my guy. Okay. But okay. Interesting. They all had their little niche. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what happened is here's what I'm going to go with. They were all part of Modern Arnis. And then each of the brothers express things differently in a group part where, yes, Combatan and okay, so Combatan is what Ernesto ended up calling his system, and Roberto is Henigran with an H, the name of their town, Henigran Arnis de Mano.
Okay.
So when their arts grew far enough away from the original thing, it merited becoming a different system.
As they got farther and farther, I got you from the net, so to speak. Okay.
How many automotive? Okay, talk about automotive. How many cars are built on the same assembly line, but they're different?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So there was the Dodge Neon and the PT Cruiser. They both had the same chassis.
Right. But totally different. Yeah.
Gotcha. Or you have your Corvette or Camaro, and they put different engines and things.
Gotcha.
So there's no question that there's that original Modern Arnis, which probably had a lot to do with the family system, which allegedly the police, the passing portion of things was a big part of the family core art. But so you can, if you do Modern, you could do the other two arts. If you do the other two arts, you could do Modern, but you wouldn't have all of them.
Yeah. Okay.
There's things that Remy did that, or his brothers didn't, and vice versa. So in Modern, our total double stick, and I'm not talking I got a special class with Professor. I'm talking what he taught day in, day out, was at the beginning 2 Sinwalis, then it was 3. So he did the Heaven and Earth, which we called double.
Yeah.
He did Earth, which we called reverse. He did single Sinwali, which is the high 5, low 5. And then eventually, I started doing after I got my first black belt, I bought in Asano's videos and I saw Heaven 6, and I was a Sinwali collector because I like doing it.
High, low. Yeah.
So I'm doing Heaven 6, and eventually Professor puts Redunda. Now Redunda is like, I don't know if you've seen the Redunda. It's sort of like Heaven 6, but it's down looping.
Yeah.
So he did that. I mean, so basically he did at the very end, it ended up becoming 3 versions of the 1, 2, 3 Sinwali, the single Sinwali, and Redunda. And that was it. That's all of our double stick training. Ernesto has a whole program based on double sticks. He's got the 4 primary systems of defense, and then there's 2 auxiliary, which is basically system 1 with some add-ons afterwards. Remy, Ernesto did the same 12 angles of attack, but he also had a 14 and a 24 angle system, and with the double, when you start doing the double stick, which really boiled down to just 10 lines of attack. But it is what it is. So Ernesto was really big into the double stick, really big. But Remy, oh my God, if he got his hands on you, he would just twist you in a knot. So, and that comes from being best friends with Wally J. I mean, he could lock and control before, but it took it.
Yeah, they used to play around together, right? That was the whole.
Oh yeah, right? The big three. There's Remy, Wally, and George.
Yeah, right. That was the big three that toured around together.
Yeah. So, and that got a lot of people doing other Filipino systems because people would go to see the seminar and there wasn't Modern Arnis in that town, so they'd do something else. So
I can't do this, but hey, it's still FMA, right? Yeah. I mean, he definitely. I mean, far as exposure in this country, I mean, there's nobody can deny the influence.
The two biggest, I think, people to impact the FMA world was Guru Dan and Remy. I go with Remy more, and obviously I have a bias because he's my teacher. But George Tabor, who you had on, made a good point. When Guru Dan did something, he exposed so many martial arts to so many people.
I mean,
it was his network. But it was only his network.
No, you're right.
Remy would just teach everybody. And I'm not saying that Guru Dan wouldn't teach people, but his seminars were generally geared for.
No, point taken. No, I definitely see that, respect that. The third, I would have to give it to Guy. I mean, he's, I guess, but no argument there. Like Dan and Remy, definitely on the top.
You're a powerhouse.
Yeah. No, there's no doubt. I wouldn't. I mean, right? Nothing would be it is today without those. Yeah. I mean, absolutely. You know what I mean? So then the Kobatan, is that just any reason why he chose that name? Is there something significant or?
I see. These are the things. Now who you should talk to if you can get a hold of Shelly Millspog. He's here in the States. Shelly Millspog.
No,
if I'm pronouncing it properly. What I'm going to do is because I don't need to see you to look up Shelly here. Shelly is probably the top. I'm looking at the wrong computer. Okay, I'm using the wrong keyboard. I'll get it to you afterwar's.
Yeah,
Shelly is if someone has Shelly's link, please by all means.
Somebody will pass that along for sure. I'd definitely be follow up on that.
He's probably the best combatant specialist in the States.
Okay.
He's June's teacher, June Occidental.
Oh, okay. I definitely know June. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Well,
here we go. Yeah. Shelly. Yeah.
I think Chad just. Okay. Yeah, I got it here. Thanks, Chad. Okay. Yeah. So, all right. So then you're training with them and all that. Obviously, you get pretty high in rank with each of them. So the term Datu, that's a term from Remy gave to you. Am I correct in that?
Correct. I was the last one to receive that title.
Okay. So then what? I guess especially was it tenure? Was it? I mean, what was basically how he gave it?
So all the titles that Remy did were individual.
Okay.
So there was no set thing what it was. Okay. So the only one that was standard was Guru.
So, okay.
Okay. You were a guru when you were a teacher, Guro. So one day I was talking to him. I said, what's Punang Guru? He goes, you're one, Tim. I go, no. I mean, what's Punang Guru? Because somebody was using it. I wanted to get the skinny on that because there was a couple different interpretations. And we went back and forth. He goes, Tim, you were a guru and you produced one, which makes you Punang Guru. Now, some people interpret it that way. Other people interpret it as head of system. Now, remember, there's over 7,000 islands and over 100 different dialects. So
that's true.
So there was only two of us that got PG with Remy. Myself, I was the first one. And of course, we're in Detroit at a camp, or Michigan, East Lansing, and the professor goes to camp, so Punang Guru Tim, come on up here. And afterwards, my friend Tim, who's was former Marine Corps, he goes, what the hell's a ping pong guru? Of course, I had to turn around and say, "Just don't get me near that table, or I'll find out."
Ping pong.
But, yeah. Well, you gotta laugh at yourselves, you know.
Yeah.
So that was only two people, Marlena Hofano and myself. There was apprentice. You talked to Brian. He was Masters of Tappy Tappy. Dan Anderson got Senior Master. And with the Datus, so I will give you my personal experience and share what some people have told me. So if you talk to Kelly Warden, who was the second Datu.
So he's also, okay, I didn't know that. Okay.
Kelly Warden.
Okay.
Okay, so the six are Shashir Nakalo. I'm going to do the best at chronological order. Kelly Warden. Pretty sure Bong Hernandez, the late David Hoffman, Dieter Kanoodle, and myself.
Dieter too. Okay, so I wasn't aware of Dieter and Kelly Warden. Okay, interesting.
So when you talk to Kelly, he looks at this as Datu being kind of a license to do R&D work on your own. When I talk to Dieter, he told me that he had a conversation with Professor, and he said his successor will come from the Datus.
Okay.
I never heard that. And I'm a Datu, so I'm not trying to poo-poo it. I'm just saying I never heard that. You know?
Yeah. No, sure.
What he and I talked about it. So in '99, he wanted to promote me in '99. I turned it down, and I tested for my rank and wanted to do the Datu thing all at the same time. So that was 2000. Bong Hernandez, who is the Arnis Sikran program, big weak calf competitor, or actually he's GSBA now. He had no rank whatsoever. But at the time, which was like 91, 92, there was no question in my mind that Remy was grooming him to take over. And then his life took him into a different story. So what does Datu mean? I mean, after I took my test, we were talking and we met in the hallway, and he goes, "Now you're Datu in their eyes." And then at the following camp, he introduced me as Datu 10.
Okay, so I mean, and again, obviously it sounds like it's open for interpretation, right or wrong, or what have you, and not to make it political or anything more.
I'm going to head off a political thing right here because I just really went on. I just talked about. I went on one of my YouTube channel about what's a Datu. So I've had a whole bunch of people talking about, well, it's a Muslim term, you're not Muslim, and all this other stuff.
My understanding, what I always heard in reference to. Yeah.
The problem here is people are not using it in the right context. It's you can't. First of all, there's a Malaysian one, which means it's like being knighted. You're part of the royal family or a prince or something like that. Okay, that's not what the Filipinos are using it for. It's a different culture. Just because they were a Muslim culture before the Spanish took over doesn't mean it's a Muslim word either. It means chief of the tribe. And if it's such a religious thing, you wouldn't have a food company called Datu Puti, which is a white vinegar. You wouldn't have multiple musicians using the term Datu in their name, as there's Datu music, then there's a hip-hop artist, Datu something or another, and all this other stuff. But tribal leader generally was the chief of the tribe.
I always heard that as well. Yeah.
Now, once again, you got to remember there's a bunch of different cultures in there that may use the same word and have a different meaning. I mean, I go from one island to another. So I've been to the Philippines like 7 times so far. I go from one island to another. It's a different language.
Yeah, right.
It's not like going to, going from Buffalo to Pennsylvania. That's just down the border. If I go up to Canada, it's still the same language.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm bilingual. I have to say, how you doing? A? Put a letter at the A. You say you're Canadian, right?
I got it. Then you go down to Texas and,
Yeah, I mean, now if we're going to Tennessee, that is a third world country. No. You're joking.
Hopefully there's nobody on here from Tennessee. No, just kidding.
But I mean, we have the same language throughout our 50 states. Yes, there are some secondary languages or secondary slang, But we're talking 7,000 islands with 140.
No, that's crazy.
So a lot of times when people start talking about stuff, yes, it was a Muslim culture, but that doesn't necessarily, every time I've heard about it, no one's been able to point it out in Muslim culture. They just, so I'm taking a lot of heat for it. Kelly's taking a lot of heat for it. And of course, no one had the backbone to say anything while Professor was alive. They wait for him to be dead, and then they talk smack, So
yeah, that really bothers me.
I didn't award myself this, and if Professor Presas thought that this was important for me to be addressed this way, that's important to me. Now,
I understood.
Was that?
Yeah, we got some comments here. Always got Jeremy. Always got to take jabs at us Canadians.
Of course. He's one of my guys indirectly. He's just good.
All in good fun, Jeremy. Just remembered, wanted to be here. Glad to check this out. Yes, hey, welcome, Master Joe. And John, yes, John, just kidding. Yeah, we call you Connecticut Yankees for sure.
Joe did a big. He did a good interview with Remy. He's got.
He's got
a video of it. You should talk to him about that. Joe Rebello.
I will. Yeah. We were supposed to something work out, but yeah. But anyhow, okay, yeah, no. Again, I'm far be from me to give an opinion. Like, what I've heard is Muslim term, of course, head of tribe, of course, associated with Mindanao, of course. But but obviously, I'm not saying that's 100% across the board.
No. At the end of the day, if it was such a sacred title, they wouldn't be using it in their modern culture. Simple as that.
That makes sense.
But it's the chief of a tribe.
Yeah, I've always heard that. Yeah, fair enough. So let's next stop. So obviously, we kind of covered your Arnis and all that. Blintawak. When did you? Was that during your Arnis journey? After? During.
Remy actually helped open the door.
Oh, okay. So let's hear it. Okay.
So first of all, there's two families. There's two. Well, we'll get that. So Remy, one day, I knew this guy. I met him ahead of time. A J Spyro introduced me. Ted Buat. Ted Buat, not Sam Buat. Ted Buat.
Okay.
Ted Buat was in Detroit. Died like 10 years ago, maybe.
I do recall. I mean, obviously, I know Sam, but
So
I briefly.
Ted used to teach for Anshan when Anshan wasn't in the club.
Okay.
So Ted did the original system, which is the ungroup methodology.
Okay.
And that was my teacher. Remy opened the door. Actually, it's funny. I was talking to Remy. He goes, if you want to learn real stick fighting, work with Ted. And I'm like, I thought I was learning real stick fighting. But, I quickly realized what Professor wanted was me to go there, do some training, and remind him of some of the material that he himself forgot. So Balintawak was the last system Remy trained before forming Modern Arnis, not the last influence of the art. And I'm pretty sure that's where our angles of attack came from. Different numerical order. 1 and 2 is the same, but the rest of the angles are switched.
Okay.
Because basically there's two center lines, which is the belly thrust and the overhead. But all the other angles are in pairs, a forehand and a backhand, a forehand and a backhand. So 1 and 2 in Balintawak are the same. 3 is the backhand, 4 is forehand. In modern, it's the other way around.
Okay.
So all the modern angles except for 1 and 2 are flipped from the original Balintawak. So I'm pretty sure that's where it came from.
Okay.
And when Remy did that, because of the short range of Balintawak, I think that's when Remy got the stick-on-stick idea. Balintawak isn't exclusively stick-on-stick, but because of the range.
Interesting. That's where, okay. I could definitely see that correlation. Okay.
So it was weird. So like when I talked to Manung Ted, first thing I said, well, I want to learn Balintawak concepts because I want to look. The reason why I did Balintawak was to look at the roots of Modern Arnis. So I get my black belt and I go, Remy put the synthesis together, but he's not here in Buffalo. He's traveling. So I figured I would do my own history and look at all these different arts to try to find out what we're doing, where it comes from, and maybe figure out why he chose what he did. And the problem here is that Professor, along with his brother, spoke multiple dialects, let alone English. So English was his fourth language. So you had to, if you were talking to Professor, if you wanted the right answer, you had to ask him 3 to 5 times. If it was a question that was brand spanking new, he would listen to you, he would translate it, come up with an answer, translate it back. And I had the same thing with Manung Ted. Every time I was with him, we talked about stuff, and I went to him as a master level instructor in Filipino martial arts. I didn't go to him as a white belt. I was a master level. Now I learned it. There's no in our Balintawak, there's really no grading system. You're the student of the teacher. But I went to him with this huge toolbox that was already from Balintawak. So I quickly had a lot of different things. Like, so the original Tappy Tappy is the level 2 of Balintawak, or the original system.
I can totally see, from when I've seen a Tappy Tappy and when I've seen Balintawak, I could definitely see the correlation. Yeah.
So what happens, so when I'll talk about it, like, if you look at Modern Arnis, you'll see this single Sinwali. Single Sinwali, in my opinion, is called single Sinwali because it's supposed to be done with one stick.
Okay, I've seen that.
You do this stick pattern, then you go into this butting. And that became Tappy Tappy, but originally was called Solobastan semi-sparring.
Okay.
And then what would happen if you were one of the more knowledgeable people, he would do this thing called Tappy Tappy, where he would feed a strike. You would block and come back to the head. You'd feed another strike. Go back to the head. So someone said no sound. Can you hear me?
I'm hearing you fine.
Okay, John Rister just said he might have a problem.
Let's see if anybody else. But usually, if it's like if one of us is sound goes bad, usually there's like 4 people saying that. So,
okay, all right. So, hey, if anyone can hear us, please let us know.
Okay,
fine. Okay, Rob Guida, that's one of my guys.
Okay, so hopefully we're good.
Okay, so in Balintawak, you would feed the angles of attack in numerical order.
Okay,
and you'd respond. You'd block and respond, block and respond. So that's called abecedario. ABCs 1, 2, 3. Seguidus was the same thing, and of course, there's a footwork pattern that went with this. Seguidus was the same thing, but a random feed.
Okay.
Now this is taught to me by Manung Ted, and this is how he taught for Anshan. We'll talk about the other Balintawak in a moment. And then there's Corratus, where both sides would play, and then Quintata was a level of mastery. So that was subjective to who you're playing with. So if you and I are playing and we're doing this game, which you may be foreign to, and I could just make you go wherever I want, that means I'm Quintata with you.
Okay.
But if I go with someone else and it's a fight back and forth, that's the Corratus, the back and forth. It's supposed to always try to be. The goal is to do Corratus and be at that level of Quintata with somebody.
Yeah, open play, free play.
And this is how Manung Ted, my teacher, uses terminology. So if someone has a different use, I understand what you're saying. I'm just telling you, this is the guy. So Remy took the Seguidus, the random feed, without the footwork, and put it in the Solobastan drill.
Okay.
Eventually, he took the Solobastan, which is the single Sinwali pattern stuff, and the Tappy Tappy, merged it all in one family and called it all Tappy Tappy.
Okay.
But it was a Balintawak stuff. So now, when I start doing the Modern Arnis, or the Balintawak, I start seeing a lot of things that Remy did and still would do. And of course, when first time I saw Remy after my first class, I go, how you doing, Professor? What did Ted teach you? Yeah, it's good to see you too. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. How are you doing? Fine. Now, what did Ted teach you? And there's been a Modern Arnis people that had the same experience.
Yeah, it gave you a better understanding, obviously, right?
Well, I think he sent us in to get information. I think,
or that, but
yeah, there's no question about that.
Yeah.
So there was a bunch of us. At the end, there wasn't many left. But I think Professor wanted to see me do even better, but I think I saw him a lot on the road, and I was doing a lot of training with Monk Ted, so I could learn with him and then show it to Remy, and then Remy, because Remy was good. He was doing 40, 50 seminars a year.
Everybody I've had on here, one of the consistent themes or mentions was how much he was on the road on the weekends. Just ungodly. Way more than I would want to do or care to do. But let me just make sure I'm not missing any questions or comments. Yes, Maestro Joe, anytime you want, you let me know. Kind of booked here, but we can absolutely get you on. You just let me know. So next, and I have a particular interest in this just from, I remember when I got Mark Wiley's book reading about Quintal from, Maestro Carlito. So let's hear about this kind of next stop,
Okay. So this all goes back to Remy every single time. It's funny. So I would talk to Remy, and he would tell me that there's Quintal and modern. He gave me my first lessons on Sikran.
Yeah,
which is the kicking art. And he actually told me some stories and actually gave me some drills to practice. Never told me he trained it, but he gave me my first lessons on it. So I'm at a benefit in Toronto. I'm attending. I ended up having me teach while I was there. It was a martial arts seminar for underprivileged children, and the money was going to get toys and stuff for Christmas. And I go up there, and a few people are teaching, but there was this. I knew the host because he'd support the tournaments I ran, and I wanted to see this guy who was teaching Quintal and Sikran, and that was Grandmaster Mark De Leon. So he was a student of Carlito Lanata as well as Grandmaster Geronimo.
Grandmaster
Geronimo, the head of Sikran.
Oh, okay. Oh, yes. I remember Milton or something like that.
Okay. I'm terrible at names, Milton.
Yeah, but I know it's hard to him. But I know who you're talking about.
His son is taking over. Panos is working the system now, which we're still involved with. Although with COVID, obviously that's changed a little at the moment. Mm-hmm. So Q and Mark was now in Quintal. They call each other Q and Q-Dai, which is brother and sister.
Okay.
No matter what your rank is. And Grandmaster Carlito, we called him Papa. So we're all brothers and sisters, and this is our dad. So I had blown out my knee. I was competing in a self-defense division in a tournament because we're always trying to take the art and get it in front of a lot of people's eye. And I slipped and fell. New mats. I should have went barefoot. I had athletic shoes that didn't take it, and one of my students fell across the knee 2 weeks before I was going to do my first lesson. So it's supposed to be. So at the benefit, I hooked up with the guy. We're all set up to class. I go in. I can't do the Sikran because my leg's jacked up. And he goes, "Well, that's good because I'm going to teach you Quintal in the meantime." I'm like, "Okay, great." Okay. So I started going down that path, and I learned both arts simultaneously. He would show me how to do the kicks, and then I got my leg rehabbed and stuff, and But so we were carrying the Quintal forms with the Sikran kicking, which is actually done quite a bit in Sikran, where they were redoing the forms, and a lot of the Sikran people also did Taekwondo. So when you test, you would just do the Korean forms while they refine the new Sikran forms.
Huh, interesting. So they kind of blended,
the art within your art.
There we go.
So,
I just have a question, Datu. Just going back to Quintal. If I recall reading correctly, and again, this is some years back when I'm referencing, of course, Mark Wiley's book, Filipino Martial Arts Culture. If I remember, like Carlito Jim had five kicks, 5 punches, 5 blocks. Am I correct in that? My memory? Is that what I read?
No, there'd be more.
Okay, more? Okay.
Yeah, because we do inward, outward, upward, downward. We did the chicken beak. We did all these modified. There was, the thing here, once again, when you talk to a Filipino, if you don't talk to that and I'm talking someone from the islands, If you don't talk to them on a regular basis, they may not know how to communicate stuff to you properly. And and sometimes you'd ask a question. Someone asked Remy once, does Sambo come from does Dumog come from Sambo? And Remy's response was, yes, Sambo is like Dumog. Those are two different comments. But depending on how you heard it, matter of fact, you had a question the other day that you were interviewing Madam Bobby, and the person interpreting didn't get your answer right, or didn't get your question right. I was listening, and then I'm like, yeah, that's not what you asked. I don't remember the exact. It was about the bolo. Someone asked about what's the Blinthwalk bolo. It's non-existent.
Yeah, I briefly, you know what? I do kind of remember something being mentioned about a bolo. Yeah. Okay.
And you asked, they asked you, or how you interpreted the question was, can you tell us a little about the Blinthwalk bolo?
Yeah.
And the person, and the student helping was, how do you use the bolo? That was not.
Yeah, right. No, yeah.
So there is no blade work in Blinthwalk. Yeah. If there's blade work in, it's because someone put stuff in, which is not wrong. Like,
right. Because I remember reading it again, not to like drown this, but and again in Mark White's book, I distinctly remember reading about Blinthwalk how it was empty hand and stick, like no blade.
Okay, so I don't remember any empty hand.
Or
yeah. So here's a perfect example. Well, just using the Blinthwalk as an example here. There's the original method, which I learned, which was scenario-based training. Then there's the grouping methodology, which became very popular. Anshan did not create that. That was Viljason created that. And Anshan should not get the credit for that contribution that Viljason did.
Interesting. Okay.
So when you look at what Madam Bobby does,
which is right?
It's not the original system. It's not to say it's bad. It's a different branch from the tree.
I got you. Yeah. So, it's not saying it's bad, right?
No, it's just you have the trunk, which is I was very fortunate. My teacher was a student of Anshan, and he was an engineer by trade. He was OCD, and everything had to be the way Anshan taught it. End of story. Right. And I couldn't take notes. I couldn't take videos. I couldn't do anything. I had to sit down, and I could do notes after class, but he taught me he actually taped the floor out to be the same size as the training area. But once again, when we're talking to people, as an example of when you ask people stuff, you need to ask them a whole bunch of times. Also, with dealing with Filipinos from the islands, we got so much stuff wrong with them, and there was a lot of misunderstanding. People say negative things about Professor, and it's like, no, you haven't done anything to try to understand his culture. And at the very end, he started saying, at the seminars, if I come from a different culture, if I said or do something that offends you, I'm sorry, it's just my way. And if we met somewhere in the middle, I mean, what's the problem in the world these days? People don't know what the other side's doing, and no one wants to meet in the middle. I'm right, you're wrong, end of story. As opposed to sitting there and going, oh, Filipinos do this, Filipinos do that. Right now, I probably know Remy better than I ever did. And there's a lot of times that it made me, I'm like, why is he doing this? Years later, I'm understanding a lot more. When I go to the Philippines, I go for culture, not for training. I've learned more in the States than I've ever. You can take all my trips together in the Philippines, all the material I will learn, and it doesn't merit one trip. But I didn't go there to learn material. I had Remy, think about this. We have the greatest country in the world for many reasons. The top martial artists in the world are here. Why do you have to go to the Philippines?
No,
if you're in a country that doesn't have access, that's why you go to the Philippines.
Yeah, there's some systems that my only contention would be like, and again, I get what you're saying, and I'm not disagreeing with you on a whole plane here. I'm not. I absolutely agree with you. Generally speaking, the best athletes are here, but there's some systems where the reps over there, because maybe they haven't gotten over here and all that. But
and I said, but you know what? Unless you're looking for a very specific system,
exactly. I get your point. Yeah, absolutely.
It doesn't even matter. You don't need to go. They're already here. Everyone you need to train with is here.
Yeah.
But now I've gone 7 times and I plan on continuing. Why am I going? Because it makes me understand things differently. I go from a cultural aspect, not a material aspect. I mean, the last time I went, we were hanging out with Grandmaster Bobby. He was there for his vacation. We hung out. I got lessons from him, lessons that I could have gotten over here.
Right.
But he opened the door for me to work with a whole bunch of people that I got to meet the Balinswalk family members over there, Nick Elazar and Grandmaster Diego Marengo.
Wow.
And, people whose family members taught Remy and trained with.
Yeah, right. And you're meeting them.
I would have had access to if I would have, and it's good going over there and just seeing how they train and do something. I mean, just that connection and being on the beach that Remy grew up on.
The beaches, I know, like I've yet to go, and I'm, and it's something bucket list or whatever you want to call it, something I hope to do. But man,
I go every 2 years when things are normal. You're more than welcome to come along with us.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, because I got to get there one of these days. It just needs to happen. Right now, nobody's doing anything, but of course, but hopefully when this miserable mess ends, then yeah, I know. Huh? I mean, we're gonna get out at some point.
The only the problem I have getting back to the Kuntao,
sure, yeah, please.
The problem with all the forms over there, because Kuntao is definitely more form driven.
But let me just like his sanction, his interpretation, or as a whole.
His Kuntao traces back. So Kuntao with a W versus the O.
Yeah, right.
I mean, no different than doing Jurus, right? Forms.
Yeah.
But the problem here is a lot of the systems that teach forms in the Philippines, even stick and blade, unless it's part of the sport over there, is very karate-esque.
Yeah, well, like me, I mean, what was more popular? Like if you look at it, wasn't there a point in time where Taekwondo and basketball exceeded the popularity?
It was karate. Yeah, Filipino martial arts is still the minority over there. The only thing that makes it popular is that kids in the school systems do it as a intramural sport. I think
is fantastic.
I went to go visit a group over there and I said, "Hey, I'd like to see your teacher." Go, you could show up, but you'd probably teach us more. I go, "What do you mean? We only work on the sport."
At least they're doing that, though.
Yeah, no, it's going to get exposure. There's no.
You know what I mean?
Think about it, though. The only downside on that. I mean, look, I think tournaments are a great way to get the word out and get popular or get exposure. But when you see these people doing these things, you have to wonder how much of them. It's almost like doing wushu. And when you watch some of the stuff out there, like if you watch the SEA Games, the Southeastern Asian Games they had, I looked at those forms and I'm like, okay, most of those are made up, and that's fine because they developed them for sport. But it is giving. Hopefully, what it'll do is with a lot of Filipinos don't realize that they have their own martial systems.
I know the younger, and
that's the good part.
That's a travesty. I mean, that's just, in my opinion, anyhow. I mean, it's hard for me to speak on the younger generation, but in my opinion, that's a travesty. It's a shame. Just, but it's easy for me to say that over here in, America. But I hear by virtue of the schools, the PE, and the tournaments, WCAF or what have you, I hear it is definitely gaining more popularity than as opposed to 10 or so years ago. So I hear it's slowly growing, and that's all I care about. It's slowly growing.
Well, we'll visit the park, and there's definitely people still, there's a lot more people training there than before.
Which is, hey, you know what? I mean, that's, now when you see the park, are you in terms of Luneta?
Yeah, we'll go there.
Okay. Yeah. You know what though? I mean, that's refreshing to hear, because
there's just no schools over there. That's the problem.
Yeah, more just gatherings, if right. I mean,
Training once a week outside in the park.
yeah, but they have the climate. I mean, yeah, I mean, thank
Yeah, but
God.
I'm just, well, unless they have a typhoon and all this other. I mean, it's just. I
Yeah.
mean, we have it so good over here. We take things for granted,
Yeah.
I mean, Riddell the Guck has Arnis Village, so he has a stick manufacturing place and a studio right next to it. But he still teaches in the park. Commutes 6 hours a day when he goes on Sundays. 3 hours there, 3 hours back.
The traffic I hear over there is a nightmare.
Oh, it's the train. You just can't get a direct ride. It's only about 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
But
wow. So then, far as so stick around. So obviously, kicking art. Just maybe for the viewers who maybe heard the term but don't really know much about it. What can you tell us?
So the street application is different than the sport. If you watch the sport, it looks like Taekwondo. It's kicking only. So, and the difference between that and Taekwondo is that it's done. I mean, you kick like you're like face to face, and you still axe kicking people and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They have a trademark kick, thinking a spinning hook kick with a hand plant. So you have 1 foot, 1 hand on the ground, so it actually looks like a capoeira.
Okay, I've seen that. Okay.
Now, the mindset was how it started. And actually, this is where Professor gave me the first lesson. He goes, "Okay, so you get attacked by bandits, and you have your belongings, and you put your belongings down, and another bandit grabs them. You might have your belongings or a child and you're holding, and you start throwing these kicks. That's how it started." And when I talked to Mark DeLeon from Toronto, he's like, "Yep, that's 100% right."
Oh wow.
So
that's okay.
And that's what Professor told me. What I want to do is, he said, I go, "How do I get better at kicking?" He goes, "Put your hands behind your back and just start kicking." I'm like, okay.
That's interesting. This is new. This is all new to me, which that's great. I love
Remy himself was a kicker. I mean, he's smaller than me. I've got a camcorder, the old style, the VHS ones.
Yeah.
And he's, for those who don't know what a VHS
is. Yeah, right. Those are not around back then.
He's kicking me in the tricep. Well, I have the camera. Like, what are you doing? Boom, boom, boom. We stopped that. And he kicked like a karateka.
Wow.
And I don't know if that's from the Shotokan he did, or if that was from Seikaran, or maybe a little both. I don't know.
Yeah, or a blend. Right. Yeah. Or right.
So the sport is a lot like Olympic Taekwondo, except that you could actually get face to face and drop kicks on each other.
Yeah.
And I was shocked at how close they could get and drop a kick on top of your head. Fortunately, I'm taller than most of them, and their legs don't reach up that high.
Yeah. Right. Thank God.
There's a couple of them. Like, dang, I'm looking up. I'm like, that's not right. You're Filipino. I'm supposed to be taller. Nope.
Yeah. No, I just remember in my Taekwondo days, you can get that axe kick pretty close. It's kind of deceptive. But we got Maestro Joe is asking, does the Arnis Village still exist?
So the original one, no. So this is actually by the original one was by the Heron Ballet Song Shop in right by by Taal Volcano and Tagaytay. So what happens is he shut that got shut down, and then he has where he lives. There's a property behind. You walk over, and there's this stick manufacturing place. Well, he built a studio there, so that's the new Arnis Village.
Okay.
The original one shut down. It was financed by someone else. It just things didn't work, so it shut. I actually got footage of me. They had this gauntlet you had to go through outside with all this homemade training gear. I almost passed out. And then after I do the whole thing, I try to do it one sitting. All my guys do it. We'll take videos of this. And I said, okay, film the whole thing. And I get it done. And I talked to this one American who was always there. And I don't know how he got there, but he was always there. And he's like, "So how long does it take you to do this?" "Oh, about 3 hours." I go, "I just did it in 10 minutes. What, are you trying to kill me?" Yeah. And I thought I was going to die. It was that grueling. Oh.
Wow. Wow. What so then so that's a sport, but like far as I guess the non-sport,
a lot of low line kicks, knees, thighs,
So kind of Muay Thai like?
It doesn't have that flavor to it. Actually, the closest thing to Muay Thai over there will be the Yao Yan.
Yeah, I would definitely, yeah,
Mike
absolutely.
McKenzie, who owns FMA Supply, he sponsors a couple of guys and's got a Dulce Paras Yaoyan school in Sacramento. He'd be a good guy to talk to.
Yeah. Okay. So again, but low line kind
Yeah,
of,
just think low line karate or taekwondo, pop, pop, pop.
yeah. Okay.
Real simple, nothing crazy. Just kick him in the thigh or the knee. But it
And
didn't have that. It didn't have that load up where you'd see Muay Thai people.
Yeah, right, or kind of.
Remember, you'd be holding your things and just try to.
Yeah, like you're kicking, like right, like you're pretending. I got you, like you're holding something. I got you.
Yeah,
I got you.
and they can punch too. I mean, like because their forms have punches and kicks. Actually, I competed in 2 of the world championships, and actually won the Sikron portion of it. I usually
Fantastic. Okay.
would compete in the stick fighting divisions and the katas, but I actually did the last one was in they were both over in Winnipeg, Manitoba, and I took a team up there. We did pretty good, and so I was in the middle age division, 50 and up.
Yeah. No, hey, you know what? So, all right, we got another Maestro Joe again. I see he still has smoking sticks too.
Yes, he still has the second smoking stick.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not going to go anywhere because that's attached to his stick manufacturing plant.
Okay. All
so
right.
If you look at if you want to look at a good documentary, look at Fighting Arts of Arnis, done by Empty Mind Films. It was basically my tour of the Philippines, sort of like fight sport and all that, but there was no fighting, and it was about the journey, not about me. So one of the places we went to Blindswalk Street, where it started there, and we went to Arnis Village, and we did a tour, and Grandmaster Riddell took everyone through the touring, and he was building the Arnis Village at that time.
Right. I definitely know. I've heard about his smoking stick. So what was it? Just for the viewers, I'm going to put this down. I'm sorry. What was the film again?
It is Fighting Sticks of Arnis by Empty Mind Films.
Fighting Sticks.
Fighting Sticks of Arnis.
Okay. Yeah, those who might want to check it out, sure.
I'm just double checking on my other computer. There's a lot of YouTube clips on it. Manan Bobby was a big part of that. He,
definitely interested. Yeah.
So there's they show we gave it some exposure to Guru Rani, who does a Panatukan program over there.
Okay.
We went to we watched GM Riddell do his thing in Lynetta. We went to the Kun Tao Club. We went. We didn't. Unfortunately, nothing was going on where we were for Sikron, so that's not part of the art. But we were at one of the FMA festivals, so it's a fun one.
Yeah, definitely.
Brom's on it as well.
Who?
Brom Frank. There's a huge list of people who are on there. Dieter Canoodle's on there from Germany. Master Rich Parsons out of Detroit, who did Modern and Blindswalk. It's a really good one. I think they're doing a sale right now. Digital download is $20 normally. I think it's like they have a Black Friday deal or something.
Yeah, matter of fact, Maestro Joe, no, I don't have that DVD. I'm definitely interested in checking it out for sure. Jeremy, it's a good film. Yeah, sounds like it's something definitely to check out. All right, Dikidi, what's under Nene?
Yes, Nene Tortal. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so let's hear it.
Well, that's more blended into everything I do.
Okay. So I mean, but you spend time with them, what have you?
Yeah, we met. Actually, it's funny too. We met at Marlena Fana used to do this big FMA convention in the States. So it would go back between Anaheim and Vegas and the SeaTac area, Seattle, Tacoma. And I, at the one time, Nene was doing the first tour I knew of.
Mm-hmm.
And he and I talked together, and I really liked him, and I reached out to him. I brought him here to Buffalo for one of our camps. We celebrated his birthday while he was here. Saw him a bunch of times, and he did and I'm a third level guru. And but I think that's more of a. I mean, I've definitely picked up things, but a better person to talk to would be like a John Bednarski.
I've had John on, and I've also had Mike Williams on, who's and they, the one thing about I've heard nothing but just wonderful things about Nene. Nothing but
my second trip to the Philippines was it second? It may have been maybe it was my first trip to the Philippines. I had other people taking care of me. I went to Ernesto's camp. Well, Nene's down the road. Nene found out I was there and came and visited.
Yeah, again,
I did a big demo there and everything. It was. He's such a. Oh my God, I love the guy.
Yeah, I know. I've heard just nothing but accolades, just nothing but positive, wonderful things. At least
towards me, I don't know. I mean, when I tell people what I think about them, I only have personal experiences, and we know how that goes. You'll say, "Well, I didn't like the guy, but other people swear by him." Nene,
he's one guy from Bikiti, or under the umbrella of Bikiti. Let me rephrase that. That I've heard nothing negative about. Nothing. Just heard nothing but, just his personality, you know what I mean? So,
well, he was in the original Lionheart videos with Leo. I mean, because they're cousins, and and it was his father that was let's not go there.
Yeah, man, that's a road we don't want to head down. No. There's all kinds of stop signs, flashing red lights. So what? All right. I mean, this has been fantastic. So future goals when this miserable kind of mess ends. What's what do you got cooking for the community?
Well, what I got going now is we're doing the Remy Presas Memorial Camp this summer. And if it's going to be hybrid or possibly virtual, depending on that. By then, we have to have better control.
God, I hope so. My God.
It will be. I mean, with 3 vaccines coming out and all this other stuff. But I got that going on. Like Mike and May Williams will be there. Brian Zolinsky will be there. Hopefully, Dieter will be there from Germany. Bon Bayet, she's supposed to be coming up for that. Rich Parsons, Chad Doolin, Ty Botting, Kelly Warden's doing a virtual session. He can't make it because his camp is the following weekend, and it's actually a campground, so he's always setting up. But he said he could to do at least one virtual session for us, which is great.
Okay.
I got some other people invited. I'm still waiting to hear. We talked to Bruce Chu about it, but he switched jobs, so just needs to make sure his vacation time's going to line up and stuff like that. So,
wow.
I'm not announcing. I mean, I talk about it, but I don't announce. Hey,
No, right. So obviously it sounds like not just Modern Arnis. You got some.
It's all Modern Arnis. It's the 10-year anniversary. Oh no, this is the 20-year. I did the same thing. So we did the reunion camp, which was the 10-year anniversary, and we had all these people come up that were all connected to Remy one way or another.
Okay.
And we're doing the same thing.
Maestro Joe says he's going to be there.
Good. And hopefully, hopefully my brother Jack Latour, Tuhan Jack, will be here, and maybe he'd even be willing to do a session.
Hopefully he'll be joining there and adding to the curriculum.
Well, yeah. I mean, I've listened. Tuhan Jack, I've known him for decades, and I bring him to my school. Whenever I can. I don't get a chance to train with him there at his place. Our schedules don't line up. So I bring him here, and everyone loves him. I've gone to Tuhan McGrath's camp, and, I did all of Jack's sessions and stuff. And, I'm still a student at heart. I'm not going to stop.
Oh, no, same here.
Who says?
Yeah.
Last week of August, Chad.
Student before instructor. I will forever be a student.
Yeah. So Chad wants to know when the camp is. It is, I will send you a link to it, but it is the last weekend of August, which is literally the 20th anniversary of Professor's passing.
And that's up by your area. Okay.
In Buffalo, New York, we are 30 minutes south of Niagara Falls, 10 minutes from the border.
You're up there. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I could be, August 27th through 29th. We may we're going to have a pre-conference workout as well. I'm still waiting for a couple.
Interesting. So basically, you're gonna have a bunch of guests, and they're gonna kind of do their thing. Show each having like a segment at a time.
Yeah, we're gonna do like 45-minute sessions. I told all the people. Well, it's gonna be organic. I'm not keeping it right to 45.
No, I got you. No, understood.
I told everyone, listen, give me three topics in order of preference. And what'll happen is when we get near that, I'll give you the 5-10 minute warning, and I'll say, are you on schedule, or you need more time, or are you done early?
Yeah.
We've done that for our camps. And then what I would do is, let's say you were one of Remy's students and you were attending the camp. I go, hey, Dean, would you like to share something? And maybe give you 10, 15 minutes to really try to make it more about the people.
Yeah, I think it's neat. Sounds neat. Yeah.
But I'm really looking forward to that. I'm really, I just, well, for many reasons. It's a bittersweet thing, 20 years without a professor.
Yeah. No, it sounds like it's a neat, bringing different people from different systems together. That's
and I do that. I mean, not just with this. I've done a bunch of FMA conferences. Did one up in Toronto with a whole bunch of different styles. One down in Atlanta. One over in Virginia. So I try to, and of course I was doing FMA talk for a long time. The discussion, Marshall talk and stuff like that with Bob Hubbard, and
Yeah, no, I think it's great what you're doing. Joe, have you seen the Lionheart videos? No, I have. No, oh my gosh.
They are dressed in traditional attire during that.
Yeah, and, I gotta get with the program.
Yeah.
All right. So let's I always like to ask kind of a closing question, with people. And that as far as, again, whatever you think, I mean, there's no right or wrong. What positive changes would you like to see within our community as a whole, regardless of style, whatever, just as a whole? What would you like to see?
Okay. So we as a community are 20 years behind the rest of the martial art community. We are uneducated and we are too tribal. We need to look at ourselves in a professional manner, even if you're just doing this as a hobby. This is my passion and my profession. I still put on a white belt, doing different things. The problem here is most people don't. There's the martial art, there's the martial sport, and there's the martial combat. There's also the martial business, and even even nonprofit organizations run things professionally. We see churches closing down all the time because you need to have someone professionally to manage stuff. And the biggest problem is we don't know how to act out in public, I'd say. We don't know how to interact with people.
Ways. Yeah.
Karate and Taekwondo are not our enemies. It's our friends. The enemy is bowling, volleyball, soccer. Hockey. Hockey drives me crazy here. And soccer, which I don't get because there's no professional soccer teams over here, but whatever. The other thing here is, this really annoys me. Most people don't know what real martial arts are in our industry. They are doing historical combat. They're doing things, and they don't understand what they're doing. So, I teach at the Virginia Police Academy, usually yearly. Things have changed. I'm attached with Sheepdog Combatives. I'm a adjunct instructor to go in and teach edged and impact weapon defensive tactics to these courses. I've taught during DT defensive tactics instructors recertification. I've taught street crime units. And a lot of the stuff we do, the core of what we do makes sense. But let me ask you this. Okay. So just take one of your Filipino systems. How much time do you put into training fantasy opponents as opposed to real opponents? Now, let me do the math real quick here. Less than, but I'm going to go up. I'm going to roll up. Yeah. Less than 1% of the population does martial arts.
Right.
We are 1% of that, which means we are 1,000.
I'm totally with you. And I mentioned this to people, we are such a fraction of that 1%.
I study and train for the 99 percentile first. People miss kata. Let's take it from Japanese systems. People say, why does sparring don't look like kata? Because kata is about self-defense and sparring is about fighting another trained opponent, which is not realistic. Now, you can take all the attributes that you build from that and apply it to realistic techniques, and you got a great fit. But
Yeah.
you know, when I watch all these people, who's going to have another sword in their hand? Who's going to have a stick and dagger in their hand? Who's going to have double sticks?
No, it's attributes. No, this is why my favorite weapon is knife. I train it because that's what I'm going to see out there. Like I'm not going to see. I love short and long. I love the attributes. I love what it gives me. I love the puzzle.
You know, and I love my Filipino martial art. I mean, there are some systems I do that are literally stick dueling. But how practical is that today in society?
It's fun, but right. But as far as like going out, leaving a store, or whatever, and somebody coming with a stick wielding at you,
actually, impact weapon coming my way all day long, all day long.
I think it's more the knife, but man, it's knife.
Well, you know, once again, I've seen both. I've been cut with a machete. I've been cut with a knife. I've had impact tools. The thing here is anyone can pick up a stick and swing it. And
but what's your point? Like sword, or like you were saying, sword.
I see sword. You know, and the other problem is, why is everything going to lethal response? Not every situation merits a lethal response. So, you know, I've had arguments with people who say, well, you know, my open hand combatives are to segue into a edged weapon technique. I'm like, you're not, just because you lay hands on someone doesn't mean you're able to assassinate people. I mean, we're supposed to, with, you know, now I get it. Some of these systems have no open hand combatives, so they're lost without the sticks and the knives. And if you're doing it for the art, not a problem. If you're doing it for sport, not a problem. But if you're teaching people martial arts for self-defense, we need to take real techniques and real scenarios. Okay. Now there's a lot of things I do that are very esoteric, and I get that. I talk about position recognition and a study of movement, skill development. But the problem I have is people who don't understand which is which, or maybe they do, and they teach someone and they don't make a point of telling them what we're working on at the moment.
Right.
I mean, you know, I love it all. I love it all.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like my big thing is like, and this is what I tell my students, like, so if they were to like train elsewhere, they would have some compare contrast and all that. And what I tell them is, you know, to me, like if you profess the art, you like the art, and you tell your students, hey, you know, like I'm teaching you art. I'm not saying this is going to work in real life. I think that's great. You're being honest. But when it comes to empty-hand against knife, if you're teaching stuff that you haven't fully tested out, I have an issue with that, because now lives are potentially at stake.
Well, and the other thing, you know, I mean, that's it. And if you're training, I'll train against the knife. And of course, you know what? I carry a knife.
Yeah.
Okay. But the thing here is, can you deploy the knife under pressure? You know, and if you don't practice, okay, now, and I'm always defense first. I'm all about, you know, my open hand combatives are about someone's arm. And so my 3 points of combat are this: armed, unarmed, and mano-mano. Armed. You have a weapon to execute your material. They may not have one, but you do. Unarmed, they're armed and you're not. And then mano-mano, no one has a weapon. And obviously, like if I have a knife in my hand, so I'm armed, you know, if you come in and I cut, grab, and cut, you know, the weapon always goes first. Where if I'm doing the same thing unarmed, I could do this hand or this hand. It doesn't matter, depending on whatever best suits. But when you're armed, the weapon always proceeds no matter what. So obviously you need to train that. But, you know, if you're going to teach armed tactics where you're going to use the knife as part of your self-defense program, then you better be teaching deployment.
And under pressure, I totally get you. Like I have my students like, and I vary the proximity, you know, maybe 15 feet and shrink until like, where they have to basically post and draw or whatever. I'm totally with you. Like, I don't think enough people do that under pressure.
I will guarantee you, if I went, and I'm not talking about me being some BA guy, but if I start laying hands on someone, they're not pulling anything out unless they train, because I am going to just rain stuff on them, because I'm not going to say they would have to be a break in action. This is my everyday carry. These are my EDCs. I have them all the time. And the other thing too is I don't want to rely on armed tactics, because I don't want 30 seconds of my life affecting the next 30 years.
Mm.
I'm too pretty to go to prison.
Yeah, I mean, right. No, because depending on the state, you're gonna need to justify. Like, you start poking somebody, man, you're gonna need to justify why you took it to that extreme.
I heard someone, a YouTuber, talking about, I carry a knife and I could just cut the person. Surgeons accidentally cut veins and things and all this other stuff on someone who's unconscious.
There you go.
You're telling me that Filipino martial artists have better precision to cut someone on a moving target to subdue them?
Absolutely not. Absolutely
not to mention, I don't care, and if they use this as a pocket stick, guess what? You still introduced I'm going to use it like this. You know what? The people around you don't know what your intent are. And you pull a knife open or closed and I'm armed, I will shoot you.
Yeah.
People don't think about the big thing. They think about the science behind it, and if I'm using these my flashlight is not a self-defense flashlight. It's just black. It's a pellet.
You got a pen there too, right?
Yeah, I got my Smith & Wesson. It just doesn't shoot. I'm a little bummed out about that.
Yeah,
but
I love those things. I think those are such a great thing, those tactical pens.
But you know what? I don't need that. I could just use my Sharpie. It's the same darn thing.
Yeah. I just like the point on just being.
Yeah, I know. I don't. But I mean, the thing here is, if I have these in my hand, you may or may not see that. But pulling a knife out and then using it as an impact tool is like using a gun. If I pistol whip you, I just meant to subdue them. Really?
Yeah.
What do you think I'm going to do?
You're going to have some explaining. Depending on how liberal the state is, you're going to have some explaining. Not all states are like Texas.
Oh, no. I'm going to flip this around. I may not be able to explain.
Or
when I introduce a lethal weapon into the encounter, it gives people around me, if they perceive that their life is in jeopardy, I just authorize them to use lethal force against me.
Yeah, depending on the scenario and who. Yeah, I know. And
the one stand and tell them the story is the one they're going to listen to.
Yeah.
Because everything's a perception these days. I thought I was in fear for my life. And as a martial artist, oh my God, if we go to court, why'd you pull a weapon out? We're done. We're done.
I mean, fear for my life. Well, why did you go to extreme measures?
You're a martial artist. I mean, they're asking cops to shoot people in the leg. Come on, really?
I totally agree. No, you better be ready to explain.
And the thing here is my martial training really started when I was 5. My father was a state trooper, and I've been shooting ever since. My dad taught me a very valuable lesson. You don't pull it out if you're going to use it. If you're not going to use it, don't pull it out. So, which means if I pull out a firearm, what am I going to do with that?
Yeah.
And if I pull out a blade, what am I going to do with that? Right. If I pull a blade on you, one of us is not coming out of that.
Yeah.
Now, what could happen is I might be lucky and be able to use non-lethal force because initially I thought I had to, but at the end of the day, you put a blade in the mix, you don't subdue people with blades. So, and these are the things that unfortunately people aren't thinking about. I mean, look what happened in New York City decades ago, part of your family.
What's that?
Well, the bouncer got killed by the
Tienza.
Yep. Part of your extended family.
I remember that whole thing. I remember.
I don't know if he's still doing time, but he was doing time.
He got out, I believe, because he got 14 or 15 years, and this was 2002. He's out, and it's a sad thing because I hear he was actually like a really kind of good person. He just saw his friend getting assaulted, kind of panicked.
Oh, he was drunk because I know someone who knew the guy.
Yeah, but just
one of my guys is law enforcement was talking to him, and they've trained together. It's like I just did what I was trained.
Yeah, it was but I hear overall before that, like from what I heard, not the names, all that, but like a clean record, just kind of, I don't know,
No, I get it. No, I get it. But
I know that was.
You did what you were trained to do, and when I pull a blade out, I only do one thing.
Yeah.
I cut boxes.
Yeah.
I open up my envelopes.
Yeah, but I remember that was a.
Yeah.
Man, that was a bad scene, man.
That was a good lesson for us.
Yeah, and that made, like, God, did that go over the freaking radar, huh? Holy crap.
It was a good lesson for everyone else, because
I
people make
remember
these
that being
mistakes.
highly talked about,
I know easy are the things, I think, I generally, when I teach certain things, I vet people before they come through the door. Or
Especially that
certain
rep
things, certain elements.
and
I mean,
no,
people come through the
I
door,
think
I
sure.
let them in, but I don't teach
Yeah,
offensive blade
yeah.
work.
You have to. Like, you're just going to start teaching this stuff to just every Joe Schmo?
That's why I have a belted system. It takes years to get to a certain level, and when I feel comfortable, if I
Yeah.
don't, they don't get access to the material.
I don't know. I think I can't disagree with you on that.
Because and I've had a bunch of people argue with me about it, and like, yeah, but a car's a license, have a license to drive, you can run people over. But you put this in your hand, or you put a firearm in your hand, a person's demeanor completely changes.
Yeah.
And
no argument.
allegedly, that's why a lot of the Filipinos in the islands get you drunk before they train, because they want to see how you act, and if you don't act proper, they don't want to teach it. Because
that's a good litmus test, huh?
don't know. I don't think I go over right now in my kids program very well, but
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, Mom, but we're gonna have to basically see how Johnny handles. Wow, too funny. Wow, this has been absolutely wonderful. We absolutely went over time, but no worries. It was fantastic. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing with us, your whole journey and your stops along the way. Thank you.
I'm glad you enjoyed. We'll have to do, and I know you want to talk Bondo. We should, maybe schedule that for another time.
Yeah, no, I definitely, yeah, no, I'll definitely bring you back on for that because that's something I definitely, that's my next.
Although it's Burmese, it's not FMA discussion, but
No, but you know what? But I've had we've talked about sea lot on here, so you know what? I mean, I would. Yeah, we can fit that in.
I don't want to say it's not real. I don't want to say it's related, but it definitely blends very well.
Yeah. No, absolutely. We could. I definitely will bring it in front of that. Yeah, absolutely, because I want to hear about that. Yeah, for sure. But and well, if I don't talk to you, obviously have a good holiday, and when you get that camp going, I mean, by all means, let me know, and obviously be more than happy to spread the word. So.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, but yeah, you take care of yourself, and again, thank you for coming on.
All right, thank you.
All right, take care. All right, folks. So that was that was interesting. So that's the last one for November. So December's list is out there for those of you who haven't seen it. Trying to think who's going to be at first. I got to work that out. But there's colleague Doug, Ron Kozakowski, and TFW. There's going to be a Christmas special, and I'll leave it at that. And a few others. Jay, Jay's going to come on and talk about system I cannot wait to hear about, which is oh my gosh, and it's escaping me, but Sony Umpod. Yes. So that's going to be really interesting. And Maestro Dan Medina will be in December, and Graciela. Like I said, I'm really trying to focus on getting a female every month on. So she will be the female representation for December. So so I'll have them again next week. I'll let you know who's coming on and when. And if you haven't, please hit like and subscribe to FMA Discussion on YouTube. Those who commented and all that, I appreciate it. Thank you. And I will see you all next time. Take care.